The following is an ESG on-location video.
Hey Nathan, thanks for joining us at reInvent this year, and it's a great event as always. I come here and learn a lot, so I appreciate you taking the time and spending some time with us as well. So we recently did some research. We found that 76% of people are either interested in already doing hosted desktops. What kind of drivers are you seeing out there that's really driving some of that adoption?
Yeah, so we see people looking for workspaces or cloud desktops when they've got cases where that traditional laptop or traditional desktop maybe isn't the right solution for them. So they have a case where they need to have burst up or burst down. They need to be able to rapidly onboard, rapidly offboard, or they've got remote employees, they've got contractors, they've got consultants, and they need to be able to give them laptops. Instead, they're just going to give them a workspace, right? So they can stand that up, they pay for what they use, then they get done, they turn it off. So there's this huge array of things we kind of call edge of enterprise, which are all of these different cases where it's just not necessarily everything under the sun, but you find these places where you just need desktops from time to time in bits and pieces.
Are you seeing people that had looked at VDI now upgrade to workspaces? Are you seeing people step away from it? I'm curious to see what you're seeing there.
Yeah, so VDI or virtual desktop infrastructure definitely has had a huge play in these customers, and we see customers do both. So it's not necessarily that you go turn off a whole cluster of VDI on premises. We do see people use workspaces as an addition to that as well. But at the same time, they really are going to recognize there's a lot of cost, a lot of complexity, a lot of management when they run their own virtual desktop infrastructure.
The other thing we saw in the research that we did together, we saw 77% of people said that it was DaaS or hosted desktops was more secure.
Yeah, well, the fundamental thing is that you don't have your data going onto a laptop and leaving your office every day, right? I think that's kind of crazy when you think about that. And so workspaces in any kind of DaaS solution is going to have that same property. The data is not outside of the cloud. Now that being said, there's a lot that we do inside of that environment to make sure that your data stays encrypted at rest, encrypted in transit. There's all sorts of encryption that happens on the actual streaming of the video content going out, and there's authentication that's based on encrypted protocols. So we do a lot to protect that workspace, but at the same time, fundamentally, it's just your data. It's staying in the cloud. That's where you want it to be.
Are you seeing the conversation change with your customer? Meaning, are they bringing security teams into that conversation now?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's seen as a core part of the process for anybody looking to adopt DaaS is that they need to understand what's the security model. And people get scared that, hey, well, I've got my desktop and somebody could get into it from the internet, right?
Absolutely.
So for example, in the workspaces case, what we do is make sure that every workspace doesn't have publicly accessible network interfaces. All of the connections happen through secure protocols and gateways. So they have to have that assurance. So we have that conversation.
Yeah, and it's almost like this idea of trust nothing, right?
Yeah.
You know, let an employee or a contractor bring a device in. You don't have to trust it, but can still deliver that experience to them, right?
Exactly. So that workspace becomes a trusted environment, and really that becomes your corporate network in a lot of ways. So the place that you're connecting from, it might as well be a Starbucks. Don't have any of this kind of secure network or trusted network inside of your building. It's all untrusted, right? It's only the cloud that's your core environment that's trusted.
Makes sense. Do you see any triggers with customers, meaning I look at things like Windows 10, for example, certainly the security solution. Are there other, I'd say, leading triggers where you see customers get started with it?
Yeah, so Windows 10 is one of the ones where so people say I've got to have a migration path or a plan. A lot of times though it's more of a business event for them.
Interesting.
Right? So I've got a division I need to stand up, an office I need to stand up, some people I'm hiring from a consulting force or outside labor. Those types of events are frequently the case where they say in the past, well, I could go buy a whole bunch of VDI infrastructure, but that would take months to get stood up.
And
so
maybe still not work.
That's right. And so then they wind up just buying laptops. But this gives them the option to do something which is cloud-based and a little bit more transient and temporary and solve that need immediately.